And that's even what I love about like the larger idea of fandom in general, because you had that at Comic-Con, you had that at the Beyonce concert, you have that at like a football game.
Yeah.
Like it's all that same like connecting principle, and I think it's beautiful. I think there's so few moments like that in kind of our existence, that you can come together in these spaces being like, I don't really know anything about you, but like I'm into this thing and you're into this thing, and like in this moment that's all I need.
Welcome to Impostrix Podcast Season 4. My name is Whitney and I am your host. Thanks for joining us for this episode. I am excited to jump into it. Impostrix Podcast validates professionals of color navigating imposter experiences and racial toxicity within their careers. And this season, we are focusing exclusively on pouring into Black women. How can we take care of the Black women in our lives? If we are a Black woman, how can we pour into ourselves? How can we receive the pour from others? So this episode is going to be about that and all the episodes within this season. So sit back, get your listening ears on. Let's get into it. Hey, y'all, and welcome back to Impostrix Podcast. My name is Whitney Knox Lee. I am your host. I am, this is going to be a fun episode for me. It's going to be interesting and fun. As you know, season 4 is all about pouring into Black women. That looks like so many different things. It looks like the different ways that we can take care of ourselves. It looks like the different ways that we can put ourselves first. And for this episode, we are talking about joy. We're talking about fun. We are talking about fandom. And this is like, I'm not a Blerd, a Black nerd. I'm not like, I don't know any, there's nothing that I feel so like a part of, like folks like our guest, Kristine. And so I'm looking forward to learning more about what this experience is and like letting ourselves get, I don't even want to say carried away, but maybe carried away. Letting ourselves feel the excitement and the joy for a thing that we really like, and letting ourselves into the world and to be a part of that world. So my guest today is Kristine. She is the host or co-host of Mind the Force podcast, which is a mental health and Star Wars podcast. She is also, the show is a recipient of one of the Black Podcasting Awards for 2024. If you go to probably either of our Instagram pages, you will see that we just took a screenshot of us holding our awards, which is fun. Thank you so much for joining the show, Kristine. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me, Whitney. I'm doing real good today.
Good.
It's a nice sunny Sunday. No complaints.
Excellent. So please go ahead and introduce yourself, sharing whatever identities you want so that we can know the perspective that you're bringing to this conversation.
Okay. Well, I am Kristine McPartlin, and I am the creator and co-host of Mind the Force Podcast, a nerdy podcast about Star Wars and mental health. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm on like a dating app. I am a very proud nerd, a very, very happy nerd. I'm also a proud wife and a proud Black woman and a very proud and happy podcaster. As I'm sure Whitney can also attest to, it's like the best thing to do in the world is podcasting. And I enjoy holding space for people, and I enjoy this very particular space that I've created for myself and hopefully for others in order to make conversations around mental health feel more accessible through the soft lens of fiction. So we do a lot of nerding out about like fandom and theories and all these like nitty-gritty things we love to get into, but we then really love to bring it back into our reality and what our real lives look like and what real feelings and human experience looks like. And I just love melding these two worlds because they fit together so nicely.
Yeah. I've listened to Kristine's podcast. It's great. It's long form, which is new to me. And I did feel myself like I listened to it on a road trip and I felt myself just becoming a part of it, which was nice.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know anything about Star Wars, and so even like I was able to learn some about Star Wars, and then the tie back to the mental health was really cool. So for folks who do love Star Wars, this is definitely your show. It's definitely a show to check out.
Oh, thank you. Can I ask what episode you listened
I
to?
listened
I'm
to the
curious
first
now.
one with your cousin, dad, uncle.
My uncle. That was,
Yes.
yes, my first several episodes are with my uncle Matt, who is a huge Star Wars fan. Like he is like Jedi Master level. I try to have people on who I feel are smarter than I am, and he definitely falls into that category of just like hold my hand and lead me down the yellow brick road.
Yeah. And I liked I liked the history that you all were going into of the show, of the what do they call it? The
The franchise.
franchise.
Yeah, no, I mean there's a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I love particularly about Star Wars, but really you find this in a lot of franchises that I love a world.
Yeah.
I love world building. I love like different pieces of lore, whether it's from like recently or years ago, because you'll have like decades of backlog,
Yeah.
whether it's movies or television show. I mean, Star Wars has like over 300 novels. They have decades worth of comic books, and so there's no shortage of content to enjoy.
Wow. That's like the ultimate binge.
It
Like
is. It is. It's endless. It's endless, honestly. Like I can't even consider myself anywhere close to an expert. Especially I came into it later on in life.
mm-hmm.
I think like my co-host James, shout out James. He's been into Star Wars since he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he's up to date on the comics. Like he's waiting for new ones to drop.
Yeah.
And like he's just absorbed more of the expanded universe content than I
Mm-hmm.
have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's half the fun. It's like there's still so much left to discover. It's like a love affair that never has to end.
So let's pause a minute and just get real. You do everything for everybody. But have you taken a moment to care for future you? Getting your affairs in order isn't just about wills or trusts. It's about peace of mind for you and love for those that you leave behind. Ideally, we should all have an estate plan. And if you're in Georgia, Wills for the People can help you out. But if you're not ready yet to create your will or trust, there's something that you can do that will go a long way in helping the future you. And that is to get organized. The I Plan for This Life Organizer for when it's needed is a workbook designed to help you organize your life with clarity and ease, making it so that if someone needs to care for you or for your affairs because you're not able to, they have all of the information that they need. No stress, no confusion, just a record made by you, about you. Visit willsforthepeoplega.com to get your copy, because you deserve to be prepared and to have your loved ones prepared. Again, that's willsforthepeoplega.com and click on the workbook tab. Back to the show. Yeah. So I have, this reminds me, I'm looking at your background. You've got these sci-fi books in the background that looks like books that my husband has. And me and my friend Jordan were talking about like her husband really likes sci-fi and they've been listening to a book on tape type of situation. And she's like, it lasts forever. These are the biggest, longest books ever. And
they can get very sizable.
yes,
Like,
and that was my experience. Like before meeting my husband, did not read sci-fi, and when he started bringing these big ass books in, I'm like, oh my god! And then he reads through them so quickly. But one of the things that Jordan mentioned, which I hadn't thought about, was like, I guess there's like levels to sci-fi in terms of the world building. And
yeah,
apparently there's like, beginner sci-fi. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but like,
it's okay.
the sci-fi that doesn't take a whole lot of mental energy to picture it, to put the world together for you. so that you can go on the journey. And then there's sci-fi where like very complex worlds that you have to remember all of the aspects of in order
Yeah.
to follow the story. And so I just thought that was really interesting because I think it's one of the challenges that I've had with site. Like I can I can visualize the world, but I just need it to be, it's got to be words that I can pronounce. Like we can't come out here with all these words that I just don't know how to say, because
I
then
get
I
that.
get
I get
distracted
that.
on people's names or on people's galaxies.
No, I'm the first person to Google something. I'm like, if I'm not 100% sure in pronunciation, I'm just like, Google knows. I don't need to overthink this. Like, Google knows.
Yeah. And I start like abbreviating people's names. Like if it's a name, a sci-fi name that I can't pronounce, I'll just call it by the first letter. Like they went to
Right? I get
Planet
that.
Z.
I get that. And you know what? And that's also part of the beauty. It's however you want to absorb it, however it works for you. Like I think a great example of probably a bigger world outside of Star Wars is I don't know if you see up here, I have the first 5 Game of Thrones books. And Game of Thrones is a good example of a world where you need to pay attention to the details because they matter. Because you have all these different houses and all these different characters, and like you have stuff happening in the past and different like places and like continents, and it's just like all this, it's a lot of moving pieces. But they're all part of like this larger like amazing story. But yeah, if you lose track, then you're gonna lose track of like the end game.
Yeah, yeah. And even
So
like
I get that.
Harry Potter. Like
Yeah.
I made it to maybe through the first couple of books of Harry Potter, but then like the longer the time went between reading these books, the more I was like, wait, who is this person?
Yeah. I can get that. Even Harry Potter, I think, isn't as widespread as something like Game of Thrones, because you still have like a main central character you're following, which is Harry, and kind of he's like the son that everything like gravitates around. But still complex. And yeah, once it gets like bigger and bigger, like outside of the school and outside of like his everyday life, that you're like, oh, like they're like you're in like the larger wizarding world.
Right.
I think it can get like complex. I can see that.
So you mentioned something that I want to start with, and that is that you came to Star Wars later in life. So tell me about this, because you're a Black woman, and I literally I know like 4 Black people who are like Star Wars people, and one of them, I don't even know if it's Star Wars or Star Trek, but my dad likes one of these 2 franchises. And
both excellent choices.
My memory of this, like my only interaction with whichever of the franchises, was my dad like creating these family night movie situations where we would go to his favorite Philly cheesesteak place. There was only one in Seattle, and they also sold tasty cakes, so my dad grew up in Philly, and like whenever he had a taste, it was like a comfort thing for him. Yeah. So we would go get these big old cheesesteaks, delicious, and these tasty cakes. We would come back to the house, and he would put on Star Trek. And I remember dreading the Star Trek part because I didn't know what was going on. Like, I don't know what this is, Dad. But loving the family time and loving the cheesesteak time. And so it didn't stick for me. But I think if it would have stuck, I would have been a childhood person. But so you came to this later in life. So how did you come to Star Wars, and how did it become a thing that you're like, oh no, like I'm in this world?
This is it. This is it. So I would say that I was already a big fandom person. Like I think before Star Wars, I was a big Doctor Who fan, which is that long running BBC series with the time traveling alien called the Doctor, and that's another big world. That's another big world, and I'd already been quite obsessed with that for quite a while. And so it wasn't a big reach for me to then take on Star Wars, and it was actually during the pandemic.
Wow, so, very recent.
Very recent. Very, very recent. And I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I'm just home. Now I'm working from home. Like everyone else, like, okay, what am I doing with myself? And I had a roommate at the time. And Disney Plus had just come out, and like it had all this like content, and me and her sat down, we watched The Mandalorian, which is one of the Star Wars television shows on Disney Plus, which is a fantastic place to start.
Okay.
Even if you're not like a Star Wars fan at all, like the season 1 of The Mandalorian is one of the few pieces of IP that actually does stand on its own quite well.
Okay.
And it's just a good season of television. Even if you're not totally sure what's going on in the larger world, it's a really nicely contained story that I can really recommend. So we watched it, and I was like, oh, that was really great. You know what? I have all this time at home now, and we have Disney Plus. I have time to watch all those Star Wars movies that I always meant to sit down and watch. And my roommate was a fan, and so she was absolutely down for the binge. And so, like, for 2 weeks, we, like, watched another movie every single night.
Wow.
Until we had watched all of the currently released films, which was, at the time, maybe about 10 or 11. Yeah, because there's Rogue One and there was Solo. So it's 11. So we watched 11 movies, episodes 1 through 9, and then there are, like, 2, side movies. And I just really liked them. I was like, oh, these are great. Like, just the special effects. I liked the bigger story. I liked the world. And it just touched on so many different thematic topics. Like, there was the politics and there was the religion, but there were the very, like, human relationships, the romantic relationships, the drama, like, the, like, inner turmoil. And it was just, like, all these moving parts. And I was like, ooh, these are good. I was actually just saying to my co-host yesterday, particularly with the Jedi, like, just watching this very, like orthodox religion, like, play out in, like, this very, like, hubris sense, and they don't see that hubris is leading to their downfall, and there's all these things happening in the background with, like, the dark side. I was like, this is juicy. Like, there's a lot going on here. Like, I was here for all the tea. I was like, this is great. And so I love the films, and then there are already several TV shows to get into, and then over time, which took me a little longer, I watched Clone Wars, the animated series, which is animated, but honestly, Star Wars animation is like chef's kiss. It's so good. Anyone who is watching this and you don't want to watch the animated content because you're grown and you're like, I'm not going to watch a cartoon, like, get off your high horse. Like, get off it because you're missing out. And you should come to this side of things. Because it's the best. I finished Clone Wars. By the last 4 episodes, I'm just in tears. Oh. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever watched.
Wow.
It was just amazing. It was just, you know what, like, so what if it's a cartoon? Like, quality storytelling is quality storytelling. Yeah. And I mean, I also I love a show, I think, more than a movie.
Yeah,
because
me
you
too.
Can get a lot more out of a show. And, man, they just knocked that one out of the park. And from that, like, before I was in love, after that, I was turned out. I was just like, this is great. And so the more content I absorbed, then I started reading the books, and then I started checking out the comics, and it was just like this insatiable appetite, and I found that it's all I wanted to talk about. With anyone who would listen, I'm just like, I'm watching Star Wars. Do you watch Star Wars? Do you want to talk about it?
And were people like, dude, Kristine, that's old news.
Right. Well, most of them were just like, I'm either not into it. A few people were like, yeah. And other people were just like, no. Like, what are you talking about? Especially a lot of my Black friends were like, no, I don't really watch Star Wars. Like, but it's actually a good friend of mine, my friend Frank, shout out Frank, who is one of my favorite people to, like, just, like, talk our nerdy shit with, that I was like, dude, you have to watch Star Wars so we can talk about it together. And he was like, no, but I'll get to it one day. And actually, and it was him who suggested, he was like, well, if that's all you want to talk about all the time, it sounds like you need a podcast. And I was like, maybe I do need a podcast. Yeah. And that was kind of like the seed that expanded into all of this.
Interesting. How did you find your co-host?
I actually grew up with James. We're from the same hometown.
Wow.
And he's very good friends with my older brother.
Okay.
And so I always knew him. Like, it was always someone who was around. And he was one of the first people I met who was super into Star Wars. And this was like 10 years ago that we talked about it. And so when I started like developing this idea, and it kind of then came with this mental health connection because I wanted to do something a little different than like everything that was already out there. I kind of started like pitching it to Star Wars fans to be like, is this something you'd be interested in? Is this something you'd want to listen to? And I think he was the second person I told. And he just loved it. From the jump. He was like, oh my gosh, I think about this kind of stuff all the time, like really deeply. He was in love from the jump, and he just got it.
Nice.
And I always appreciated that. And I had him on as an early guest co-host, which is a format I used to do. So I used to have guest co-hosts.
Right.
Which was it was lovely for like the variety of conversation and like talking to different kinds of people and finding out what their experience was and their relationship with the franchise. The narrative continuity wasn't great.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's why I did in the end decide to have a permanent co-host.
Yeah.
And James was just my first call. I'm like, do you want to do this with me all the time?
Yeah.
And it's been wonderful. It's been great. He's so smart, so knowledgeable, and we're just like on the same page. Like, and it's funny that like the things we agree on, the things we don't agree on, and it's really been great having him in the permanent seat.
Interesting. So what I'm wondering, like, what does this feel like? What does this feel like to be that excited about something and to have all of this like universe of content and events? And I don't know, like I feel like it's a club. So like I am in a coaching cohort right now, and the business coach loves Star Wars apparently, and so she's always putting these memes that have Yoda and baby Yoda, and I don't know what you're talking about, but like what does this give you, like, as far as your joy and what keeps you engaged? What does it give you?
Gosh, so much. So much. Like, and what's I think been the nicest surprise is the different avenues in which it gives. Like, there's multiple paths of like positive energy that are constantly streaming at me, and it's so nice. Because you have the Star Wars part. Like, you have the Star Wars part where I get to connect with other fans, whether it's other podcasters or just other fans in general, or other people like my brother telling me like, oh, my friend listens to your podcast, he thinks it's so great, and I'm like, and it just feeds you. And then you have the mental health aspect where I get to interview super interesting psychologists and therapists, and most who are not Star Wars fans, and that's always fun. To get to have this very nuanced conversation, but get to see like where it can go, and like what like resources we can pull from, and their knowledge and their experience. And it's so enriching and so interesting, because psychology and mental health is just my other passion. And then to speak to these experts and get their opinions and have it like tie back in to real human behavior is like so satisfying. And then honestly, and I can attest to this because this is how we would have met, is through this community of Black podcasters, which has just been the best. It's probably my favorite one, if I have to say. Just everyone that I've met through the Black Podcast Awards and through the Black Podcast Association and like at Afros and Audio, and just this amazing community and family that I've just felt so welcomed into. It's the light I didn't know I was looking for, that I didn't know I needed. And I love that. I feel validated, and I feel supported, and I feel encouraged. And I mean, and you can attest to this, that like sometimes podcasting can be lonely. It can be very lonely, and I don't know if I would still be going on the same momentum without that community. And that's really my best advice to anybody who wants to get into podcasting. Like, yes, have a great idea. Like, yes, have your setup, stay consistent, like all that stuff. But find community. It makes the biggest difference.
Star Wars. I'm curious about have you been to the convention, any of the conventions?
So I'm a big Comic-Con goer.
And so that's
yes,
all any kind of comic, right?
that's like the big one. So
Okay.
there's so many conventions. So many conventions. The big ones are San Diego Comic-Con, which I've been to once. I have gone to San Diego for that. But I've been to New York Comic-Con pretty much every year for almost the past 9 or 10 years.
Wow, awesome.
And I love it. I love it. I mean, it changes over the years. Like, things get more commercialized, but I also think it gets more expanded. Like, I love that more people are, like, exposed to things and, like, want to cosplay and have fun and interact and just come and, like, see. Because it's quite a spectacle. Like, if you've ever been to New York and you've been to the Javits Center, it's this huge glass, like, compound, and they just fill it. They fill it with like tens of thousands of people, and you can't walk, and like it's like exhausting and glorious, like all in the same instant. And you see people in their cosplays, and you attend panels, and you have all these giveaways, all these interactive things to do, and it's just like a whole day. Like, I usually go for like 2 days, because 3 days is a lot of steps. You get really tired by day 3. So I usually go for 2. And it's just fun. It's a really fun time. It's a real sense of community. Like, particularly as a cosplayer, because I love cosplay.
I was gonna ask if you dress up.
I love to dress up. The times I haven't dressed up make me sad.
Oh,
because I'm like, nobody wants to take my picture, and nobody thinks I look cool. Because it's especially when you work hard on a costume, and like you come and you're just feeling it. You were like, I am doing it. I am this character. I feel, especially since I've started playing more like Star Wars villains. Getting dressed up as a villain is so fun. So fun. And it's just cool because like then you see like other people from your fandom like also cosplaying, and you're like, like, and it's like I don't know anything about this person. I don't know their name. I don't know what they do or who they are, anything about them. All I know is they love the thing I love.
Yeah.
And it's this instant connection and just this instant endorphin rush.
Yeah.
And then people stop you like, "Oh, can I take your picture? Because you just look cool."
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's so flattering and it's so validating, and it's fun. It's super fun. Like, even my own partner, who hates taking pictures, he had a pretty cool cosplay one year, and people were like stopping him, being, "Oh, can I take your picture?" And he's like, "I guess, sure." Like,
it's not even you, babe. It's not even you. It's your character. Yeah,
the character. Like,
yeah. My friend Sarah, she loves dressing up for Halloween. Loves. And her work, every year they have a contest, and the best costume gets like a day off of work.
Nice.
Yeah.
What?
And so every year she like tries hard. She's usually a villain. She does all of the things, and it reminds me, now that you're talking about cosplay, it reminds me of that, because part of what she loves is
it's the same the same concept. I love Halloween.
Yep, she loves the interactions. She what did she dress up as? Pennywise, the clown from
Nice.
I've never seen it, so I don't know. But anyways, she drove by random person's house who had some, I guess, complimentary decorations in their yard. And so she gets out, goes into the yard, takes a picture, and then the owner of the home sees her and then comes out and is like, yes, we need to do these pictures.
I love that they're just like, not like, "Why are you in my yard?" Yes, you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's what it reminds me of. And the Beyonce concert, when it's like everybody shows up in their best, like sparkly cowgirl, cowboy, cow thing.
Honestly,
outfit.
like it's the same thing, and that's even what I love about like the larger idea of fandom in general, because you have that at Comic-Con, you have that at the Beyonce concert, you have that at like a football game.
Yeah,
like it's all that same like connecting principle, and I think it's beautiful. I think there's so few moments like that in kind of our existence, that you can come together in these spaces being like, I don't really know anything about you, but like I'm into this thing and you're into this thing, and like in this moment that's all I need.
Yeah. And I think this is something that we, like, listeners, myself, can take from this conversation is, like, today we're talking about fun, right? Like, this stuff is fun. And for myself, I don't think I have enough moments of fun, of joy, whether or not it's curated, but particularly the curated parts, because that takes energy and time. But, thinking about my friend Sarah and thinking about you and talking about cosplay, like, she realized this year that, like, Halloween was her absolute favorite thing ever. After 5 years of dressing up, right? Like, she's finally like, oh, like, I love this shit. Like, I love it. And I think you kind of tying this back to, like, this is like every day for a lot of us. This is like football games, like, and it just makes me want to encourage folks to lean in, and, like, encourage myself to lean in. My 6-year-old, he's 7 now, plays basketball and he plays football, and sometimes parents come all decked out, and I'm always saying to myself, I mean, for this though? And now I'm thinking to myself, hell yeah, for this, because what else? Like, what else are we gonna get dressed up in all the team colors and like, whatever it's gonna be. And I don't go to a lot of sporting, like, professional sporting events anymore, but I do just really like the idea of getting into it just because it's fun, just because it feels good, just because it feels part of community when you're showing up to a place with other people who love the same thing, and being together in that way sounds fun. So I encourage folks that when you're like, I'm going to this thing, maybe I'll dress up, maybe I won't, I don't know if I feel like it, do it, go all out, and, like, have fun, enjoy that.
Yeah, and even if it's in a small way, like I would never say, like, oh, you can only come to Comic-Con if you're going to be, like, decked out to the nines. Like, even if you do something small, like you wear, like, a t-shirt from your favorite movie, or like we wear some, like, ears or something, like even something small still makes you a part of it. Like, you can still engage and be a part of that community in small ways. And even if you don't want to, if you're just in a space and enjoying it, like, you're not in that space because you wandered in. Like,
yeah.
Like, you're still here, you're still in it.
Yeah.
And that's what I also really think we try to do on the podcast is, like, yes, we have, like, so much fun. Oh my God, we have a lot of fun. But we also then do try to bring in those other deeper elements because we want people to not only, like, connect with each other, but, like, connect with this content. And it can be a deeper way, because that's really what great storytelling does, is it infers from our own lives. Like, it's pulling from our own reality and our own experiences and driving that sense of connection. I mean, that's why we love a great story. Like, we see something of ourselves in it, like, whether it's in a character or in an experience or in an environment. Like I think of my husband's rewatching The Wire, and
mine too.
And they're doing a lot of the same stuff. I feel like we should make, like, a friend connection here.
Yeah.
He's rewatching The Wire, and it's so interesting because it's a whole different city. Like, he grew up in the Bronx. The Wire's obviously set in Baltimore. But he was telling me, he's like, there's so many relatable experiences in this show. He's like, I understand the mentality of, like, these adults and these kids, like, what they think they have to do growing up in this environment, because that's the power that story is pulling from, is from these very raw, real-world experiences. I don't know, even something fantastical, like Star Wars, like, has so many real-world applications when it comes to, like, our own inner emotions, our own relationships, especially the world around us. Oh my gosh, like the political overlap is crazy.
Yeah.
The political commentary and religious commentary, it runs so deep in something like that. And I can think of Harry Potter, I can think of Lord of the Rings, I can think of Game of Thrones, I can think of The Walking Dead, even like something in like zombie dystopian stuff. Like it's that show is more about human behavior and way less about zombies. If you're paying attention, and we're supposed to connect to this. We're supposed to see ourselves, supposed to make us like think and feel. And sometimes those feelings aren't good. Sometimes they're very like deep, dark questions. But like at the same time, we're still so entertained. It's this amazing, like multifaceted, multi-layered, almost like it's multi-sensory experience.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just wild, and your mind races, and like I'm getting carried away. I need to calm down.
So I think last time you and I talked a couple of months ago, I was trying to like figure out if I had any like quote nerdy moments, or like if I had anything that might be similar, because now I think less about shows and movies and more about games. I think about Magic and Pokemon, and for me it was POGS. I remember you talked about POGS. After that conversation, I went on a Google search around POGS. They were like milk bottle caps or whatever. I'd never seen a POG on a milk bottle. Okay, first of all, so I don't know.
Or what milk were people buying?
Right, exactly. Like I don't really know, but I remember having this collection. And for people who don't remember or don't have experience with POGs, they're like these they're discs and like basically of hard cardboard, and then there are these slammers, and the slammers were either metal or they were plastic, and they were decorated with all these designs. POGs had all these designs, and some of them were like rarer than others. Some of them were like super duper common, and the game had something to do with stacking these POGs on top of each other and then throwing the slammer on them and then seeing what happened. I can't remember. Like, I can't remember what happens after the slammer part. I just remember that,
I don't remember.
Right.
I don't remember.
If you won POGs, air quotes, then, like, you were able to grab other people's POGs. Like, that's how I got more POGs. And well, buying them. But, like...
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I remember my brother collecting baseball cards. I don't have anything like that in my adulthood, and I want
collecting.
Yeah,
collecting is a whole interesting world that I personally don't know much about. Like, I have some things I collect, but definitely nothing extensive.
Yeah,
because collections get really wild. Like, they get so crazy, and like much respect to it.
Right.
Like I wish I had larger collections of things. Like my nerd memorabilia is very like modest compared to a lot of people, but it's amazing. It's like this whole other world, and like it's always like this generational thing. Like, you were into POGs. I think I came in on like Pokemon cards.
You're a little bit younger than me. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I came in heavy on Pokemon cards. I remember being like 6 years old, watching like season 1 of Pokemon on WB11 Saturday morning cartoons and being like, this is great. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who this 10-year-old is wandering around in the wilderness with these wild animals. If you overanalyze Pokemon too much, it's crazy. Like, who are these adults that just let these kids like walk around? Like,
yeah, so I never got it. I don't even know the story. I know Pikachu. Like, I don't know what the story of Pokemon is. I just know that the kids that I would babysit were all about Pokemon.
Were all about it.
These Pokemon cards are everywhere. And then in adulthood, Pokemon Go comes out, and now all these people are walking around in parks saying they see Pokemon.
That was a fascinating phenomenon. Oh my god, the summer of Pokemon Go was so interesting because it like took this nostalgic thing that like we grew up with as kids, and like even if you weren't sure, like you kind of knew about it, grew up with as kids, relaunched it, but like added this tech component with the AI, got us outside.
Right.
Anything
and
that can
COVID,
get people outside.
Or was it right before COVID?
I think it might have been right before, because I remember like pre-COVID life, because I remember living at home still before I moved to Brooklyn.
Okay.
got people outside on their phones wandering through parks and like
Just
meeting
wandering
people
around.
like wandering around like into buildings and like but it was so strange because like it's tech focused, like we're in our phones, like we're all addicted to our phones, but you're outside and you're socializing with real people. And I'm like, that's amazing. Very few things do that nowadays.
Yeah.
And just from a sociological point of view, I'm like, what a phenomena. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to get into video games similarly because I find, so essentially I'm testing things out.
Right? You're dipping your toes in different waters. I like it.
Right, right. And I encourage people to do that because at some point you're going to find something that you're like, whoa, this is super fun. Right? And like, I want to keep doing this. We recently bought Sackboy on PS5, which is a video game. It's a family game, and it's hilarious playing video games as a family. Like, that is actually fun. I love that shit. And, you know, there's not a lot of, or maybe there are a lot of like family video games. I don't know, but we had a hard time finding some because our children are younger, and you know, even though they're watching my husband play, I don't even know all the bad games, the shoot 'em up, like rated R plus. Like, this might as well be XXX. Rate this shit XXX because they are straight up naked people in it. Okay, and they look like people. Like, this looks like a video.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it's been fun because I've been asking some of my other friends like what they do. I have one like small group of friends who love Zelda, and Zelda's a big one. I found my husband's Zelda game and like was like, okay, let me see about this Zelda.
What's going on here?
It didn't click for me, but people love that Zelda stuff, right? So yeah, I find it all so fascinating, and I'm like actively looking for my next like joy hobby thing.
I get that. I respect like trying different things. That's how you find something new. I wish I'm funny in that I don't like to play video games, but I like to watch people play video games. And that's straight out of my childhood because I am the only girl with two older brothers. And so I was never allowed to play the video games because I couldn't play it as well as them.
Right.
But I would sit. Right, I sucked. I still kind of suck. I don't know why I can do things like the sports I could do are so hand-eye coordinated. I don't know why I can't do video games. I just am not good at them. But I can sit for hours and watch it like it's television.
Wow.
So I'm entertained. Like, it's not like I'm not the type to be like, oh, you've been playing like Call of Duty for like 5 hours and you're not paying attention to me. I'm just like, go off, like play your game. Like, I'll sit here and watch it if I want. If not, I'll go do something else. Like,
yeah.
I'd rather you be home playing this game than out in the streets. Like,
right. Yeah. So let me ask you about Black people, okay? Because, like I said, Star Wars, less than a handful of Black folks that I know who would I won't put it like that. Who I know that they like one of the stars, Star Wars or Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering about what your experience has been as a woman of color in this, what I know as white space. Is there Black people space or people of color space within this, or even women's space within this? Like, or are you like making your own, or are you just out there with all the white folks, which is fine?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
So it's a little bit of everything. So there definitely is spaces in Star Wars where you have women and you have people of color, like because that's the cool thing about such like a long-standing franchise is it has like a worldwide audience. Like, I can go to any country in the world and probably find somebody who's like, yeah, Star Wars, like I know that, which I think is an amazing reach of things.
That's cool.
Of course, as time has gone on and they've made more content, they have more people of color, like, in the content, whether it's in the books or in the movies and everything. I mean, also, these people are aliens. So
Right.
So they definitely do have, like, in, like, early onset, like, a lot of, like, whitewashing of things, because that's just how content was made back then. But I think they're really doing a much better job now of not only bringing diverse stories, but diverse characters. And also realizing, like, okay, like, this, like, alien is, like, not even also always, like, white-coded. Like, these are people from different cultures and pulling from different religions and experiences. And I think they're doing a much better job of that these days, which is great. And that really also reflects in the fan base. And I think that it's becoming more prevalent for people to say out loud, like, yeah, like, I love this content. I grew up on this, and I like to engage with it. I like to talk with other people about it. It's not like this, like, in the corner thing of, like, oh, yeah, like, it's much cooler to be a nerd than it used to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, we got Blerds, right? Cooler. Like we have language.
We got Blerds. There's a whole vernacular for it.
Yeah,
and I think that's amazing. I think that's really cool. And I would say coming into it later on in life, I don't know if it would have been the same 10 years ago, the same 20 years ago. I think I'm coming in at a time where not only is it much cooler to be a nerd, but it feels more accessible. And I think that level of accessibility has been really wonderful. Like, especially I think the, like, innovation of the internet has been a big one. I feel like without it, you wouldn't see as many different avenues and walks of life. Because even lately, I feel like my algorithm has just been, like, shouting all these amazing people in these, I guess, historically, like, white spaces. And, like, Black people just taking over and killing it. Like, apparently one of the best snowboarders in the world, like, currently, like, X Games champion, is a Black man. Like, killing it, doing all sorts of crazy snowboarding stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a lot of new rock artists that are like, Black frontmen and women who are, like, taking over that genre. Where, even though, like, this all stems from Black people, because, you know, we started everything. Right? That to have those people then come back into these spaces and be like, yeah, like, we still do it better. It's like, like, yeah, like, and don't you forget. Don't you forget. And I feel like so I feel like I've been blessed in that way, where of course, like, there is, like, this predominantly, like, predominant part of the fandom that is white people, and that's fine. Like, it's not hard to find spaces for women and spaces for people of color, and, like, see people engaging with it and loving it all the same.
Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap us up. This has been a great conversation. I think what I want to end on, because you've shared with us just how important mental health is to you, I want to know about if you've noticed a change in how you are doing mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually since discovering Star Wars specifically, or maybe if not Star Wars, because I know you said you've always been blerdy, right? So, like, when you're able to lean into this, do you notice a difference in those areas of your life? Yeah.
I absolutely do. For so many reasons. I think that not only has it made me really comfortable with, like, my own fandom and, like, bringing that out into other parts of my life, but I mean, everything, like, from starting a business, which I never thought that was something I would do. Like, I didn't think I was the entrepreneurial type. And to see an idea that, like, literally I made up myself and to see it so warmly accepted is so validating and, like, just one of the best feelings. One of the absolute top best feelings. And even on my own mental health journey, that I felt really grounded in where I am with that. I've been to therapy and I've done a lot of work on myself. And I was actually recently, which was a really big step for me, because I've been doing, like, more interviews and more like cross-promotional things like this, that I was actually able to share some very personal things with my parents that I hadn't recently found kind of, like, the inner strength to do.
Yeah.
And now that like I talk about it more, and I'm really like getting more into telling my own story, even like outside of the podcast, and telling my own story and like why everything got started and kind of how I ended up in this place. I wanted them to hear certain things from me before hearing about it like on the internet. And it really gave me the strength to do that, and it really it ended up being a really positive experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would have done that if I didn't have, I don't want to say forced.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have this circumstance where it was important to have that conversation. And that for me was another validating step. I think that's the big word. Hashtag validation.
Yes. Yes.
And I feel validated as a woman and as a creative and as a Black woman, and it's all been so grounding, and I feel safe. I feel a safe place to express myself and to create and to try new things and to get really used to listening to my own voice on recording, which I think is a big step. Even as a lifelong singer, always hated listening to myself on recording, and you get real used to it real fast when you have to listen to hours of yourself. Yep.
True. Wow.
It's been a life-changing experience. I wouldn't give this, God, it's probably coming up on 2 years this year. I wouldn't give any of this back for the world.
Thank you so much. I'm thinking about takeaways for the listeners. What I want to know from folks, I want y'all to find me on Instagram at, what is it, Impostrix Podcast. I want you to, if you're listening on Spotify, there will be like a little question if I remember to put it there. But like, what is your thing? What is your like blerdy thing? What is the thing that you used to love but got away from? The new thing that you love that brings you joy? I want to know from y'all, because I'm trying to get ideas, right? I want to know from y'all what you love to do. What is the joy that you're leaning into? Whether it's being a part of some fandom, or whether you're a crocheter, or one of the things that I love doing is painting my nails. But it takes time, so I don't do it all the time. But I have this like small nail polish collection of like boutique nail polishes from my favorite nail polish place that has glitter everywhere. Like in adulthood, I realized that I love glitter, which is, as a child, I didn't. I was very tomboy, but in adulthood, I'm like, give me glitter everywhere.
Need a little razzle dazzle sometimes.
I love it.
We can have a whole other pod about nail life, because
I
got my
I know. I've been looking at your nails, and I'm like, oh, those are so fly.
I have, you know what? I've been doing. I used to do my own tip sets, dip powder, the whole 9 yards. And then I recently, in the past year, transitioned to press-ons.
Oh, I've heard they've come such a long way.
Bro, press-ons are everything. This is my first set going to the salon in a minute. And I'm happy with it. I needed something a little stronger to get me through the next 2 weeks. But girl, we can talk all about press-ons. Let me tell you. That's a whole other pod just on nails alone.
Okay, Kristine, tell us where listeners can find you and where they can access your podcast.
Of course. So, you can find us at mindtheforce.com. It's a very cool website. You can also hit us up on Instagram and Facebook. Search Mind the Force. You will find us there. We are on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all of them. Hit the link in the bio. Yep. And you'll find all the clickables.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation, Kristine.
Thank you so much for having me, Whitney.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Impostrix Podcast. I hope that you got what you needed. If you're ready for more, feel free to go through the other 3 seasons worth of amazing episodes that we've put together for you. I want to hear from you. I want to know how you related to this episode. So if you're listening on Spotify, feel free to answer the question or send a text. You can do that through your Spotify app. If you're listening elsewhere, make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Impostrix Podcast. And if you like to text, go ahead, go to the show notes, look for the link for the WhatsApp community, because we just got it started this season for season 4, and I love to chat, so hit me up. Also, thank you to Chris at Digital REM for editing this episode. Until next time, be validated.